Hey guys, and welcome back to Scarlet Sprites. Today we're taking a look at the long-awaited arrival of my JNX Consolized Neo Geo. Alright, let's start with the video options, and there are plenty for this guy, including RGB, component, S-Video, and composite. JNX also offers a VGA option, but it can't be combined with any of the other outputs that I just mentioned. So while VGA is intriguing, I didn't want to be without component video, which has become my standard. And yes, I know all about RGB and how blow your nuts off amazing it is, and that should be my standard instead. If it makes you feel any better, you can leave a rant about RGB in the comments that I probably won't read. The encoder for component also produces the video for the composite and S-Video outputs, so that gives you plenty of options. Having said all that, you can put the pitchforks away, as I do still have the option for RGB, which is buffered and also attenuated. JNX does allow you to decide if you want the raw signal or non-attenuated as well. You can save some money by keeping the stock Japanese BIOS, or you can opt for the UniBIOS upgrade, but really just get the UniBIOS. The feature I like the best is the ability to swap between AES and MVS modes, but others may find value in region switching, cheats, and the pick and mix mode for the 161 multi-card. The UniBIOS is just that thing that if you don't get it now, you'll just end up regretting it and purchasing it later anyways. I also chose the option to have the virtual memory card installed, which is a really nice feature that I didn't have with the Omega. Now, just like the UniBIOS, you can choose to not have this installed if you want to save a bit of money. For me though, I really wanted the ability to occasionally save my progress from time to time. I mean, really, have you guys played some of these shooters? Another option I chose to purchase was the DFO, which is the dual frequency oscillator. The Neo Geo natively outputs a refresh rate of 59.1856, and yes, I did look that up, and adding the DFO bumps that odd frequency to the 59.94 NTSC standard. This gives better overall compatibility with LCDs and even the OSSC, which would normally detect the Neo as a 241 progressive signal and then render scan lines somewhat oddly. Since I have had some sync issues with both the Elgato HD and scalers in the past, I decided to opt in for this mod as well. Other things included with the JNX console are a battery mod where the old battery is replaced with a newer coin cell type, a complete recap of the board, and the cleaning of the cart slot. JNX recommends deoxit for cart slot and connector cleanings, and I would definitely concur. It's a nice weapon to have in your retro arsenal. As far as exteriors go, the shell casings are all white, I believe, not too many options here. I suspect you could paint this if you really wanted to. Something like a Krylon Fusion would probably work really well. Definitely going to want to add a sealer coat to that though, of course, when you're done. The white has kind of grown on me actually, and I purchased a vinyl logo from eBay to kind of dress this up a little bit. As for the actual panel option, you can choose between black with gold lettering, aluminum with black lettering, or gold with black lettering. I obviously chose the latter, and I really like how the gold and white go together. For the power LED, I went with violet, because purple and gold reminds me of royalty, which we all know is the class where Neo belongs. Many of you will recall that I had ArcadeWorks' Omega console as my consolized system, and that I also had some issues with it before getting the component video repaired. That system never saved its settings for me despite replacing the battery, and it also lacked the virtual memory card as well as the DFO option. Beyond that, and probably most important to me, is the fact that when I did have an issue with that system, it took months to get remedied. I just felt that swapping out the Omega for the JNX not only gave me a quality handcrafted product, but also one that I knew I could get support with, given James's reputation in the community. A few of you had asked about the Omega, and I did end up selling that almost immediately upon receipt of the JNX console, which made picking up the JNX a straight up one-for-one trade for me. I'd also like to point out that the JNX is significantly smaller than the Omega. It's barely larger than the MV1C board that it's based on. This is a really welcome change, to be honest, and I know that that may seem insignificant, but the smaller footprint really helps with placing the console into my entertainment stand. It's really amazing how much a punch this small little box provides. And speaking of punch, how does the system compare to the Omega visually? Well, I want to be fair here because when my Omega was hooked up via component straight to a CRT, it was fine. I had no issues and the picture was actually sharp and vibrant as you might expect. Moving into more recent times where I'm leveraging an LCD as a primary display and routing things through the brilliant RetroTink 2X, things took a bit of a dive. You can see that whenever I fed the RetroTink 2X component video from the Omega, the image had a tendency to be overly bright and saturated. As a result, I found myself using the S-video out from the Omega more often than not. Other Omega users have reported the same results to me, so I know that this isn't just something that's unique to my setup. So obviously I wondered if the JNX console would yield the same results. The answer is thankfully no. The JNX console outputs gorgeous component video that the RetroTink 2X has no issue handling. I'm going to guess that this has something to do with either the video encoder in the JNX or the addition of the DFO that standardizes the signal before it even gets to the RetroTink. Whatever it is though, it's working beautifully and I couldn't be happier with the result. Every game I have played has a strong but not artificially so picture. Colors and overall contrast and brightness looks great and is representative of what you would expect with a good analog to digital conversion. Now, one of the mistakes I always say I've learned my lesson on and then go ahead and repeat is price discussion. So this is my disclaimer. This is what I paid when I bought the unit. The unit was $500. Depending on when you are watching this, the price may have gone up, it may have gone down. Overall, I think that's pretty reasonable considering that I supplied none of the parts and James did all of the work. Remember, that includes the motherboard, the casing, a full recap, the video encoder, the virtual memory card install, the DFO, and the Unibios. If you want a cheaper price, you certainly don't have to include all the options that I did. In my case, I was just getting worn and nervous about the durability of the Omega, and I really wanted something that I could trust. So I just kind of went all out here. The downside, and yes, I always seem to be closing with bad news lately, is that I believe orders are currently closed for the remainder of 2019. I'd recommend following JNX on Facebook in case that changes though. Like most gaming things lately, when orders do open up, you just have to be ready to pounce on it. But yeah, this is a really great little box that is masterfully crafted by one of the most helpful and skilled guys in the Neo community. This piece of hardware gets an A+ from me, and I really couldn't be more pleased with it. I know they're hard to get because James can only crank out so many at a time, but it's really worth waiting for if you are at all interested. That's my time for today, guys. Thanks so much for stopping by and listening to me ramble about more Neo Geo stuff. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you all next time. Later, guys.